Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live with independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator Teresa Harper. I'm located in Oregon in the United States. Thank you so much for joining me, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching on the replay. I appreciate you spending a little bit of your day with me. We're going to wait here for a minute or so and give everybody a chance to find us, and then we will get started. As you can see, we will be using Bordered in Beauty tonight. I love this Stampin' Die bundle. You need this in your collection. It's so versatile. You can do so much with it. It works with any other stamp set. Pretty good. Let's see if I can find the video, which I'm having a hard time finding my own video. Double check to make sure. Yep, says I'm live. And wow, let's see. Is it really running that far behind? It can't be. All right, well, I guess we'll find it the hard way. Can find everybody live but me. It's crazy. Okay, come on, Facebook. It would be nice if you would cooperate here. Thank you. Okay, hello, Cynthia. I see that you're on. I had to go the silly way, and of course now this will not auto-populate for me, I'm sure. Okay, so we're going to be using Bordered in Beauty. Love, love, love this bundle. And then we're going to throw in a little of the Cutest Crew. My friend's dog died on Mother's Day, so I made a little card to send. And so tonight we're going to make a boy version of this card. My sample is kind of a little girly because the dog was a girl. So we're going to go ahead and we'll get started with these two. Now, just to warn you, I use these two bundles, and then for the sentiments, I use three separate sentiment sets. That's all these are sentiment sets. So, of course, you don't have to own all the sentiment sets. Just go through your stash, see what you have that'll work, and pull out what you need. So, let's go ahead. We'll get started with our card. Let's bring in our pieces. I'm going to start with, we've got a Misty Moonlight card base. And that is a standard A2 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4. So we've got that. And then we've got a piece of Golden Glow, and this is the two-tone cardstock. And I'm using the light side, and we're going to put this on here, but before we do that, we need to do a little stamping. I've got a piece of Misty Moonlight, and I have embossed that with the Hearts of Love 3D embossing folder. This was not on the last chance list, so I believe it is still available. Let's double check really quick. Yep, it is definitely not on the last chance list and is still available. So I've used that and I've embossed this. Now this piece is 3 3/4 by 3.5. Okay, 3.5, 3 3/4. So we've done that. So that one's ready to go. Then I've got a piece of the 2026 to 2028 painted patterns paper, and this is in the Peaceful Pine. So you get stripes and then like paint stripes on the back of that. This is the worst one to show you. Why am I showing you that color when you can't really see it? So here's the Peaceful Pine. Looks like there's paint stripes on the back, and then it has those stripes. And then you've got this big polka dot stripe and the little stripe. And you get each of those, 2 of each of those in all the different colors. So Barely Blush, Crisp Cantaloupe, Golden Glow, Peaceful Pine, and Hydrangea Hue. And I'm using Peaceful Pine for this one. So we've got that. And this piece is 2 3/4 by 3 inches. So 2 3/4 by 3. Let's get this out of the way. We don't need it. And then for the inside, I've got a piece that is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. I've already stamped that with So Sorry for Your Loss. This comes from Promises and Prayers. And then I put a piece of that same designer series paper. It's kind of it comes in a 12 by 12 sheet, and they're an ombre. So they start out light and go dark at the bottom, so you can get different things. And then I've used a stamp from Bordered in Beauty just to stamp at the bottom in Golden Glow. So our inside is ready. Let's go ahead and add that right now. And then that will be done. And let's see if I need to refresh my screen because, yeah, it says there's 6 people on and I am not seeing but one. All right. Hello, Tracy. Hello, Laura. Hello, Jennifer. Hello, Cher. Thanks for joining me. Okay, so we've got that. Let's start stamping this. So we're going to take from the Cutest Crew bundle, and we're going to take the little footprints, little paw prints, and we're going to stamp that in Golden Glow. Okay, so our color palette is Misty Moonlight, Peaceful Pine, and Golden Glow. So let's go ahead and get those out of the way, and we'll stamp our little footprints. We need a scrap piece of paper. So I'm going to ink those up. And then we're going to stamp them off. And I'm going to put some in the corner up here. And I'm going to put some in the corner down here. And each time I'm stamping off. So that's what I have. Okay? So this piece is now ready, and we can go ahead and add this to the front of our card. And this piece, I don't think I said, is your standard layer 4 by 5 1/4 inches. So let's put that in here. All right. Now let's go ahead and do the rest of our stamping. So we need a piece of basic white that is, why didn't I cut that? Okay. I don't know why I didn't cut that, because I already had one prepared, but I wanted to show you what I did. So this is 3 by 3.5. So 3, and I'm going to go just a tiny bit over 3, and you'll see why here in a minute. 3 by 3.5. And the 3.5 is approximate because it's not going to stay at 3.5. So here we go. Let's get that out. So this is going to be the 3-inch side at the top and the bottom, and then we want so it's portrait. So my brain will work there. We're going to take the strip of hearts from Bordered in Beauty. And of course, you know I piled everything right on top of my stamp sets, so I can't get to them. Just silly. So I took this stamp right here, and we're going to ink that up. And then we're going to bring this right along the bottom here. It barely fits. And my one little heart is not very inked there on the end, so I'm going to fix that. I'm going to put that almost at the bottom, but not quite. Okay. It's going to leave just a little bit like that. All right. And then let's do the rest of our stamping while we're at it. We need some, I thought I threw a piece of white in here. I did throw a piece of white in here. Look at that. There we go. So now we need Peaceful Pine. Excuse me. And we're going to take this image from Bordered in Beauty, and we're going to ink that up and stamp it down. Okay. And then we're going to take the Golden Glow again, which I should have just done when I had it out. And we're going to take this little image from Bordered in Beauty, and we're going to stamp that down. Okay, so those are the pieces that we have. Now we're going to add some sentiments inside there. Plus we need to stamp a row of puppies, which apparently I didn't leave them out. I must have put those away. Not sure what. No, I didn't. They're on a block. Oh, they're on this block. That's why. They're on this. I was looking on a regular block. So we're going to take Memento, and we're going to ink those up. And I'm just going to flip these down here. Put this on here like this. Give that a press. Okay. And then we're going to take the coordinating dies for these. So you'll need this little die here. It's going to cut that out. We're going to fussy cut this one because this die puts holes in the area, and I didn't want to use the holes, so I'm going to fussy cut it. And then we need this little die right here, this heart die, and we're going to put this on here like this, and we'll run all those through our die cut machine along with our puppies. Which we have here. Okay, so you'll take all of those, run them through your die cut machine, and then when you're done, through the magic of television, you'll have this for your hearts that cuts out just the bottom. And that's why I said this is 3.5 approximately, because by the time you get done, you don't have, you have about 3 1/4. Okay, so we've got that. And then here is the, oh, I forgot to do that part. Hang on, we got to do this. And you would do this before you cut it out probably because it'd just be easier. We're going to take Misty Moonlight. And type or stamp in the hugs in Misty Moonlight. And then on this one, we're going to type, or we're going to, where is my typing? We're not typing in anything. We're stamping. Come on, Teresa. We're going to take Sending My Love. Hugs is from the Scalloped Blooms. And Sending My Love, we're going to stamp over to the left. And that is from Banner Sings. Okay, I told you, three stamp sets for the sentiments tonight because that's where I found what I wanted. Okay, so then you would cut these out. All right, now we're where we need to be, right? And so, oh, I forgot to stamp one thing. Okay, well, you got to stamp and die cut this too in Peaceful Pine. And this is from the Bordered in Beauty. So then we have all of these. This is a stamp that looks like this. So you stamp it in Peaceful Pine and die cut it out. We've got the hugs. We've got the Sending My Love, which I hand cut. And then we've got our puppy dogs, okay? And this piece. So let's go ahead and take care of our little puppy dogs here so we can start assembly. We only need 2 little puppy dogs. You pick which ones you like. And I'm going to take Golden Glow. And I'm going to take this little puppy dog right here. And I'm going to color his little scarf in Golden Glow. And then I'm also going to take this little puppy dog right here. And I'm going to color his little medallion in Golden Glow. And then both of my puppies are going to be crumb cake. So I'm going to take the dark crumb cake. And I'm just going to put in some shadows where there would be shadows. And these are pretty small, so I don't really have to worry too much about it drying too fast. So we're just gonna go for it. Put just a little bit of the dark. These are real small, so, and then this one is just about out. So I'm gonna go with the bullet tip. And we'll color those up. Now you could, of course, color all of them and make multiple cards. And then you would just have them ready. Okay, so that's what I have. And because I've already die cut them, I'm just going to take and go around these like this and finish those off a little bit. Just so they look a little bit more finished because I want to use them individually. Now, you wouldn't even need to color these. This Cutest Crew does have just some regular die cuts that you could just die cut out the animals. If you didn't want to color and cut, you could just die cut an animal and call it good. I've got to fix his ear. Sorry. I just can't take all that white space in there. So we'll just cut it out. There we go. And then we're just going to take, and this one's really simple because not much to his shape there. And he's already pretty much die cut. Okay, so there we go. Now there's our two little puppies. And we're ready to put this together. Okay, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and refresh my screen just to see if I missed anything. Okay, so we're going to take and put these three pieces together. So we're going to take the embossed piece, the heart embossed piece, and we're going to add this white piece. That. Okay, and again, this Misty Moonlight is 3 3/4 by 3 1/2, and this one ends up to be about 3 by 3 1/4 when you're done. And then we're going to take our piece of Designer Series paper, and we're going to add this on here. And this was 2 3/4 by 3, I think is what I said. 2 3/4 by 3, yep. Okay, and then we've got our tag. And so let's go ahead and add this. I'm going to put this right here in the center like that. Then we're going to take this and we're going to add a little bit in the center there. Okay. And I'm going to put that between those lines there, like so. Okay. Then we're going to take one of our little puppies and a little regular dimension. Nope, that's not going to work. I need minis. I need the minis. The puppies are pretty little. We're going to add this. And we're going to put it right here like that. Okay. Now this piece is ready to be added to our card front. We need to take this and we're going to put this down here like this. So let's go ahead and take some liquid glue because this is a 3D embossing folder. I like to use liquid glue so it gets into the nooks and crannies. And then we're just going to center this, try to get it even on the three sides there. All right. And then we're going to take our little pup here. And we're going to go ahead and, well, before we do that, let's do this. That way I know where to put it. Now put some dimensionals on the back of our greeting here. And add our greeting to the bottom like that. And then we're going to add our little pup down here. So I'm going to put a little dimensional right there on his bottom. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of glue up here where it's going to overlap the tag, like that. Okay, and then we just have some gems, and our bow. So let's go ahead and grab the bow. And for that, we're going to use the black and white and gold baker's twine. Mine's starting to come undone here. Okay, and so the way I'm going to do this, I want this to be peaceful pine, or maybe I want golden glow. So I'm going to take out about what I think I need here to tie this. Give myself a little extra just so I'm not struggling. Then we're going to bring back in that scrap paper. And I'm going to go ahead and take my fingers and I'm going to pull this to straighten it out a bit. Okay, there we go. And then I think I'm going to go golden glow. So I'm going to go with the dark golden glow. I haven't actually made this card in this colorway. I made it in the crisp cantaloupe colorway before, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. So I'm just going to take and run that down. If you get that brush right on the edge of that twine, you won't waste any of your ink whatsoever, because it'll just sit right there, right on the top. And it doesn't even really get on your paper. Okay, so we've got that now. That's ready to go. Now, we'll let that dry for just a second, and while it's drying, we'll go ahead and put our gems on. Okay, so I'm going to bring in the 26 to 28 in color gems. And for this one, I think I'm going to go ahead and use the peaceful pine. Uh-oh, that left the, make sure when you get that you grab the glue dot. So we'll put one of these up here. I'll put a smaller one here. And then I'll put a bigger one down here. Okay, and then I'm going to give those a press with the tip of my Take Your Pick tool so that they don't fall off. And we're going to bring in our twine, which is now dry. We're going to give that a tie, double. I'm going to make it a double bow. Tie that up. And there we are. Now, instead of white and gold, we have golden glow and gold. So let's go ahead and grab a glue dot. And we'll put that down. Grab that. And stick that right there. Give that a good press. And then we'll trim up those ends. Okay. And there you have it. Card number 1. Nice little sympathy card for someone who's just lost a pet. I hope you like that. Let's go ahead and refresh. Oh, for the envelope, I just ran, I didn't even color those in. I just stamped them. Called it good. Okay, let's clean those up. Get all of that stuff out of the way. Uh-oh. Okay, put away some of these stamps and dies that we don't need for the next project. Oh, I still didn't get to the, hang on. I didn't get to those. Aw, those pups are adorable. I'm glad you like that heart border, Tracy. Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks, ladies. I'm glad you like that. Okay, so for the next card, or actually our next project isn't a card at all. So let's go ahead and get that, and I can put away all of the Bordered in Beauty because we're not using that on the next card as much as I love it. Okay, this project starts with the May product of the month, which the May is almost over, so here we are. Berry Botanical Vellum. You can purchase this for $5 with a $75 order. If you haven't already purchased it, it's a limit of one per person. And these are the 4 vellum patterns that you get. Okay, so that's what we're using tonight on this project. And then we're going to be using the Exciting Times bundle. This is a stamp and punch bundle. So it's pretty inexpensive. What the bundle is, let me see, $39.50. So that's pretty inexpensive. So we're going to be using both of those, which I don't know why I'm trying to set that off where I can't get to it because that's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. All right, we're going to make a box. So let's go ahead and start with the box. And this is going to be a fold flat box because I love fold flat boxes. And did you know that you can take the fold flat boxes, you can actually, it's the same measurements and everything as a clamshell box. Just so you know, you just cut it a little bit differently, but you score it exactly the same. And that just clicked in my brain when I was making this box because I got the measurements all done. I was making a clamshell box, and then I went, I wonder if I can turn that clamshell box into a fold flat box. And sure enough, I did. So here we go. So what we're going to do here, we've got a 6.5 by 8.5 inch piece of bubble bath. We're going to score it on the 6.5 inch side at 1/2 and 1 inch on both ends. So we're going to score it, rotate it 180, and score it at 1/2 and 1.5. Okay, and I did this side wrong. Oh man, 1.5. And let's get rid of this one. If you ever make that mistake, just put it back in your scoring tool and score that back down. And then take your bone folder and rub it on both sides where you didn't want it to be. And you really can't tell it's there now. Okay? Just an extra tip there. How you can fix a mistake like that. Okay, so on the 8.5 inch side, we're going to score this at 1 inch and 3 3/4 from each end again. So 1 inch, 3 3/4. Okay, so there we go. Now, let's go ahead and fold and burnish on all of our score lines. That's how we get nice, crisp box edges, and our box will fold together a whole lot easier. Okay, and we'll do these ones. Like that. One more, and then we'll start trimming. Okay, so at this point you need to decide what's going to be your top and what's going to be your bottom. It doesn't matter, they're both identical. So for the top, I'm going to take and I'm going to come into the second score line from the right, and I am going to cut this all the way to the second score line horizontally. Okay, so I've cut that, and then I'm going to come over here, and at that score line again, I'm just going to cut off this section right there. So I've got these 4 sections that I'm going to cut off. Then I'm going to repeat that over here on this side. Cut up to the second horizontal, and then cut that off. Okay, now I need to cut out these 4 corners, the 4 outside corners here, these small rectangles. We're going to cut those and remove them. So remove those. 1, 2, 3 outside rectangles, and number 4. And when you're done, it looks like this. Okay? So that's what we have. Now, we're going to bring in our silicone mat. If you don't have one of these, I say, why don't you have one of these? They're a necessity. And I'm going to take my scoring tool from the Take Your Pick tool, the scoring tip. I'll put it in the 4 corners right here where those intersect. I'm going to hold that there. I'm going to put myself a ruler, straight edge something, and I'm going to score out to the outside tip corner. And I'm going to repeat that on all 4 of these intersections. Okay? So where the 4 intersections come together on those bottom corner squares, we're going to go out to the outside corner and score that. Okay? So we've done that on all 4. And now this folds in. This is the inside of our box. That's where I was scoring, the inside. And then I'm just going to take and fold those like that in the opposite direction. Okay? So we're going to make these into mountain folds. All 4 of them. Okay? It almost turns your box inside out when you do that. Okay, and then we're just going to pop this. Okay, so now we're ready to start decorating. Our box is done. Yeah, before I do that, I'm going to do, well, let's go ahead and put our liquid glue on. Okay, so with any fold flat box, it's going to be these little triangles right here that are on the outside edges, but right next to those score lines that you're going to put your liquid glue. So these little triangles right here, And I'll bring that up close in a minute. The glue needs to be at the outside edge. That's what you need to remember, the outside edge, not this inside piece. Okay, so now we've got glue on those 4 triangles. We'll just take and fold those down and hold them for a second. Okay. And then, now of course, you don't have to use liquid glue. You could use tear and tape. I myself prefer the liquid glue simply because I don't like tearing all the little pieces off, and it's hard to get the tear and tape in a triangle. And so now I'll just take my bone folder and really give those a good press. And then when you take this and push the back of this up, it just automatically folds into a box. Okay? And then it folds flat for storage. So we're going to take and turn this over, and we're going to start putting some designer series paper on here. And the designer series paper that we're using is the Berry Botanical Vellum. So I've already cut some pieces here. All right. So this piece is 3 1/4 by 2 1/2, and it's going to go right here. So let's go ahead and put some Stampin' Seal on there. And I'm going to cover up the whole center so I don't have to worry about. This vellum is very forgiving on Stampin' Seal, actually. It's very hard to see the Stampin' Seal through it. So we're just going to put that there, like that. Now we're going to corner round this edge. Any corner rounder that you have. Stampin' Up! Does not currently have a corner rounder, so pick your favorite. Corner round that if you so choose. And I had these all in order, but of course, no, I don't. This one does not go there. This one goes here. So I'm going to put that one there. And I'm going to corner around the bottom of these. And then, oh, come on, tape. I'm running it on my silicone mat. My problem is that I'm not breaking it properly. And so it doesn't want to stay going. Okay, so I'm going to just put this down here like this. Okay, now this is going to be the back of the box. So what we have to remember here is that that's going to go like that, but we need to turn this around because when the box sits up, that's how the correct orientation. Okay? And it isn't going to flow just like it's supposed to because we have to put it upside down. But it's okay. Nobody's going to be checking to see if our patterns all match up perfectly. Okay, so we've got all that. Now we need this one, and this one's going to go up like this because when you pop this up, this is going to be the, hang on, I'm going to flip this back. And just so this will stay, I'm going to give these a good press with my bone folder. And if it's easier for you, just take your nail in there and give that a good crease. Okay, so because that's going to go up, I'm going to lay it like this. And why do I have an extra? 1, 2, 3. I don't know why I have an extra. I don't think it matters though. So I got all the pieces now. Oh no, Yeah, yeah, I think so. So we'll put this here, like so. All right. And then these two pieces, don't put laying like that, because you need to realize that these are going to be up. Okay. So we need to put it this way, and we'll put one on here. And these pieces are 2.5 by 3/4. All of those little pieces, the other ones were, hang on, I think 3.5. I'll have to double check, because I forgot to tell you the sizes. Okay, so these ones are 3.25 by 3/4. 3.25 by 3/4. Okay, so that's all of our paper. Okay, now to keep this closed, we're going to use some Velcro dots. So these are the 3/8 inch thin clear fasteners. That's what the package looks like. You can get them on Amazon. You could probably get them at Michael's. You used to could get them at Joann's, but of course, that's no longer an option. That's where I actually got mine, I think, was at Joann's, but I know they have them on Amazon. Okay, so then we're going to take 2 dots, and I like to put them on the top here, and I like to put there's a white side and a clear side. I like to put my white side on the top of the lid, on the top inside of the lid. And I'm going to put this here and go about right here. And then I'm going to repeat that on the other side. Now you could probably get away with one. I just don't like the way that looks when I do it, but you can get away with one. And then I'm going to put another one about right there. Give those a good press so that they glue well. And then we can lift the cover on the clear side. So we want to leave those right in place. Oh, come on. There we go. That was being a little stubborn. And then I'm going to pick this up, squish that into the correct figure is whatever, correct shape. And then we're just going to push this together like this. And that's going to hold our box closed. Okay. Now I'm going to take your pick tool, and I'm going to gently lift that up. Because this is vellum, you really got to stick that down well. Okay. So I'm just going to use my take your pick tool to pry in there. And then I can lay this back down flat and take my bone folder and give that a really good burnish. Okay. And that way it's going to stick. All right. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on this side. And then we'll pop these back together. Oh, what fits in here? Dark chocolate truffles by Utah. The Utah dark chocolate truffles you can get at Costco in a bag. You also could fit the Godiva chocolates that they sometimes have at Costco in the individually wrapped little puffer things. It'll fit 2. Okay. And then we're ready to decorate this. So I'm going to go ahead and go back and refresh my screen. See if there were any questions that I missed while I was constructing. It's okay, Lynette. Don't worry about it. Okay, so yeah, Tracy, I actually have 3. So that's because I rarely can find them all. Okay, so we've got this now. How are we going to decorate it? All right. Well, from the designer series paper, what did I do with my little thing here? I took this sheet here that has the open areas, and I cut one flower that was against the edge because I don't need a full flower, so I just fussy cut around that at the edge. And then I had to cut a full flower because that's what I had. So we've got those 2 pieces already fussy cut. Now let's get our basic white here. And we're going to stamp in, hang on, I need to get these ink pads out of the way because now we need hydrangea hue and strawberry slush. Okay, so we're going to take strawberry slush, and remember this is the Exciting Times bundle. So I'm going to ink this Radiating Stitches punch piece there. And then I was silly because I really should have, oh, I need a Misty Moonlight from the other, we need Misty Moonlight too. So we're going to take, we've got Strawberry Slush for the Radiating Stitches stamp. And then we're going to use Misty Moonlight and the Let's Celebrate. This is all from the Exciting Times. Sometimes it's easier if you stamp your sentiment and then the Radiating Stitches. Just a little tip. Okay, so we've got that. Now we're going to take Hydrangea Hue. These are all colors in the vellum. And we're going to take this piece and we're going to stamp it in Hydrangea Hue. Okay, so I'm going to give that a good inking. It doesn't look like it's inked very well. And then I'm going to let that sit on there for a second and let that ink really soak into that paper. I am running my fingers along it, but not really pressing hard because I don't want to distort the stamp. Okay, so that's what we have. Now, we can punch the Let's Celebrate using the rounded rectangle punch that comes in that bundle. Okay, so we've got that. Now this piece doesn't have a punch. I can punch the center out of it, but I can't actually punch the whole piece. So I have to fussy cut. It's pretty much straight lines, so just cut a straight line. And this part you could actually use your trimmer if you're good and precise with your trimmer. And you could just cut the 4 edges using your trimmer. But I find it just as fast to do that. Okay, now you could leave it like this, or you can go in and round these out. Just put your scissors down there and turn your paper. Okay, and now we have that piece. Okay, we're ready to put this all together now. So let's bring in our box. We've got this panel, and we're going to pop that up because it's a 3D item. I don't need to worry about how tall I go, so I'm not. Just going to put this in. And I'm going to pop that up. Okay. Then we're going to add this to our box. And actually, I find it easier to do this when it's flat. So I'm just going to take and empty that box and put this in here like this. Put that on. And then we're going to take our Let's Celebrate, and we're going to use more dimensionals. And we're going to keep these dimensionals away from the two ends. Okay, actually, let's do this because I can. I'm down to the minimums here. So I'm just going to take and put these right along here. And right along here. Okay. And then I'll just put some right there and right there, making sure that I leave those two ends open. All right. And then we're going to add this over top of that, and it should line up because that's how it's designed. Okay, so we've got that now. And let's go ahead and we're going to bring in our flowers. So I'm going to put one of these flowers here and the other flower over here. So this one's good to go. And I can just take some glue dots and put that down. And I'm going to try and keep it inside the boundary of the box. It's not really necessary, but I'm just going to keep it right there like that. And then for this one, I'm going to need to cut it off a bit. So I'm just going to take and snip that off like that. And then we'll get our glue dots along the edges again. And then we're going to put this in here like this. Again, I want it to be inside the edge of the box. Give that a little press. Okay, almost finished. So what do we have left? Let's go ahead and put our truffles back in. Close up our box. Let me refresh the screen here real quick, and then we'll put our embellishments and our pieces on here. So I've taken the hydrangea hue, what is this, 3/8 inch ribbon? Yep, 3/8 inch ribbon. And I've cut it lengthwise in two. And then I'm going to tie a double bow here. This ribbon cuts really nicely down the middle. It's fairly easy to cut. And it really doesn't unravel unless you're super rough with it because of the weave of the ribbon. Okay, so now we've got that. Let's go ahead, we'll pull those pieces apart. Get our glue dots again. And I'll put one in the center. And then I'm going to put one on either side of that glue dot, just to give this a really good hold. Okay. Make sure our tail comes down where it's supposed to. And then we're going to put this right here like that. I'm going to open that up, give it a really good press. And then we're going to trim those tails. And then we're going to grab the hues of blue flowers. And I'm going to take the hydrangea hue dark Stampin' Blend, and I'm going to take one of these white large flowers. And I'm just going to color that with my blend. Okay. Make sure that's nice and good. And then we're going to take I'm going to use the small Misty Moonlight and put one there and one here. And then I'm going to take the large hydrangea hue one and I'm going to stick it in the center of that flower. And then I'm going to give that a good press, putting my finger inside the box top lid and using my Take Your Pick tool. Make sure that sticks real well. And then I'll do the same over here. And there you have it. Okay, so there's a little box you can use for any type of celebration. I actually was going to try and make one up in a red, white, and blue theme, and I just didn't get to it. So there you are. I hope you like those projects tonight. Let's go ahead and bring back in the card that we made. And there we are. There you have it. Fold flat box. Ready to go. Okay. Let me take another gander at your comments. Thanks, Tracy. Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks, Lynette. So glad you guys like that. I will see you again here on YouTube Thursday night at 7. And we'll have another project. I'm not sure what that's going to be, but I'm sure it'll be fun. See you then. Good night, everybody. Thanks you for watching.